Hello, good morning. Good morning. Sorry for the delay. I honestly I messed up something, so I had to get it all ready again. I have no idea why some of the things were a little finicky, but you know what? On the good side, apparently taking my time with setup has allowed my model to move more smoothly. It was very stiff earlier. Sorry, give me 2 seconds as I navigate. Burp, burp, burp. Tiny. Alright, something like this. Okay. Hello, good morning, welcome. Today, we shall be watching In the Land of Leadale starting with episode 1. We're gonna probably watch up to 4 episodes today. And for those of you who are new or are popping in for the first time because you saw Watchalong, I'm Ria. I'm I like to say I'm cozy, but honestly I never really tell. I like to play chill and lighthearted games, and today we're gonna be watching one of my favorite animes because we actually just had book club on Friday. If you guys are interested in hearing more about the book, it kind of turned into like a not a deep dive, like a dive into the Land of Leadale, and the VOD is still up if you're interested. I usually do book clubs once every 2 months now. I need the time. But this time we're actually watching the anime that's connected with the book, and we're going to see just how it's a bit different, see how it is, and just try to have a good time. So, yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching. I was a little shocked at the amount of people that were listening during book club, and it was really a pleasant surprise. It was just a surprise. But I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'm excited to share this with you guys. Now, if you guys have your episodes ready, I think we're gonna get right into it. I did start a bit late, but I want to get through all 4 episodes. So, let's get right into it. On my count, 3, 2, 1. Oh, yes. Oh, dang. I've actually watched this anime before. However, hello, welcome, good morning. I have watched this anime in its entirety, but it has been a while, so I'm excited to rewatch it. The anime came out in 2022. I feel like this is the first time I've listened to the opening song. Wow, they made him. There's a particular character where they made him very stocky instead of the cool, salve, mysterious character he is in the manga. Ah, P-chan! Oh, Sarah Bears looks derpy, that's crazy. I do like some of the expressions they're showing though. The expressions are one of my favorite parts of this. But I don't know why. Something about like the anime style they chose. It's not nice. It's just yeah, like cuz when I watch anime, I usually skip the intro. I usually listen to the intro once and then I skip it. Don't get me wrong, some of the intros are amazing. It's just like a habit. I tend to like get into the story. That was very smooth, just like out of nowhere. She opens her item menu and gives an item. Okay. Always the impromptu stomach growling. They skip through quite a bit in the anime, don't they? I understand the pacing is very different, but instead of having, she had like zero breakdown. She's not even in denial. She's just, well, guess this is what's happening. Oh, she actually answers. In the novel and the manga, she doesn't answer. Holy smokes. I honestly didn't. That is unique to the anime. She did not eat that much in the manga or novel, but it kind of makes sense. Less than Gruskilo. Oh, for once. Wait, not for once. They didn't. Maybe I missed it in the light novel, but they specifically mentioned the previous names of the cities in the anime. The little tapestry she has in the background of the different countries is actually very interesting as a detail. Yep, there it is. The seven colors. God stepped in, and it's interesting because on the map in the anime, they have it as like thirds, right? But when we were looking at the map in the novel and the manga, it's more like thirds lengthwise instead of like a pie. Yep, that's what happens when the market crashes. I do like that they reused the character profile, but they colored it. Yeah, of course she's strong. But 69,000 health, is that a lot? I guess technically compared to normal, that is. Interesting that she's the one who thinks and reaches out to Key, but Key's the one who makes their presence known in the manga. It's not. It's cute, but I feel like the manga. There's. It's not bad. It's not bad. I'm not complaining. It's just the manga did it so well. The paneling, the poses, the expressions. Okay. Well, they changed the frying pan to a cutting board. Wow, she is nothing wrong with it, but a voracious eater is definitely an anime unique trait. Anime exclusive trait? Anime exclusive trait? She says the words home tower, but they don't register that. Because in the manga and the anime, she doesn't really have an emphasis on food. But it's, no, in the manga and the novel, she doesn't have an emphasis on food. Nothing wrong with it. It's just that it's something I think the anime chose to add. No, they could have. What happened to the silver ring? It changed in appearance. Wow, this is super fast paced. She's 317. Isn't it 217? Again, this has changed. In the original manga, Kana has a darkness spell that she casts to make things dark, and that's one of the things that deters these idiots from actually entering her room. But I do like the appearance of the lightning lion. It kind of reminds me of card captors. And even in the oh, I do like that they kept the manga panel. That was a good touch. But in the manga, Key is the one who notices and records the situation, but they're not the one who activates it, if that makes sense. It deleted from log. Hello, welcome. Hey, where are the plant sounds? The plant sounds of the plants being very upset as she's walking. I know that it can't happen all the time, but it should at least happen once as soon as she walks into the forest for the first time, and then they can say that she uses a skill to block out the sounds after that. But they need it happen at least once. It's a characteristic of her race. I do like the effect, that magical summoning effect. That was very cool. They really brought that to life. And for a second, I was like, why is Kana acting so cool? She's not like that. She's unintentionally cool, but she's more of a dork. Oh, this is definitely not how I imagined the Guardian to sound. Alright, I did not remember this. He sounds, Hello, welcome! Didn't miss much, just in the middle watching and me comparing the anime to the manga and the light novel. Also, I'm in shock that the Guardian's voice is like this. I thought it'd be deeper. Also, he was much more insolent, and Kana actually like threatens him with her staff. That's pretty cute. I like that panel a lot. Here we go. Oh, there we go. They just changed the order. Haven't read either. Which would you recommend if you wanted to? I highly recommend the manga. If you are only going to pick one of the forms to read, I highly recommend the manga. The paneling, the development, the way they convey the expressions and a lot of the emotions, I think is so good. It's one of the best manga adaptations of a light novel, personally. So highly recommend it. Oh, they have Scargo's profile and My. I see. So even in the anime, they emphasize that Kartas is adopted, which makes sense, but at the same time, it still doesn't answer our question. She can only make up to 2 sub characters. Where did the third come from? Okay, that was not cool because there was no indent for her to put her ring. It made no sense that there is a swirl and then she's. Uses her ring, and all of a sudden, I don't know. The clicking sound, that didn't work. That didn't work for me. I like how it says ball rush bomb, and then the icon was a toothbrush. Oh, a deadly toothbrush. You would think that this guardian, after being threatened, wouldn't be so quick to be insolent, but you know. And now he's got a request. See, how does magic work? Here she's just selecting it from a menu instead of like casting it. I wonder if how they're going to convey the magic system in the anime. I don't remember the details. There's only one season of the anime, is that right? That is correct. They only did one season, although I do think a lot of people hope for a second season. But today we'll only be watching episodes 1 through 4. Let's go! They got Kana's really cool kick, but they made the bear a little bit crazy. Wow, that was unfortunate. The bear had a cool moment and then it went crazy after she kicked it. That's unfortunate. The bear lost so much aura. I don't know how I feel about Kana. Like in the anime and in the manga and the light novel, she's much more relaxed. But here in the anime, they're trying to make her a little bit like overconfident, compensating, you know? I don't know. It's not a bad choice. If the thing is, for me, I read the manga first, so that's why I'm constantly comparing it, also because of book club. But for people who watch the anime first, I think if you watch the anime and then read the manga, you will see a bit of a difference in Kana's character. The animation is okay. The art is actually, I like the details. They nailed a lot of things, but somehow with the art style, I feel like it's interesting what they choose to emphasize in terms of like a lot of the characters and their form. Wait, is even Lit drinking? I hope she's just having something normal like hot water. It seems like they've made her overconfident but a dork in other ways. Alright, that is the first episode. I'm gonna stop the timer. Oops, hold on, let me just pause. This. Pull that back. The power does not translate to alcohol. Yeah, I think that makes sense though, because the thing is, they do mention this in the light novel, so I can say it because they clearly aren't going to. In the light novel and the manga, Kana does mention that because she has things like poison resistance and mental resistance, so things like alcohol tend not to affect the players once they've developed these skills. I can hear, I guess they didn't mention it, but Kana decides she wants to relax and really enjoy the atmosphere and enjoy the experience of everyone. So she turns off these resistances so that she can get drunk. And that is why she has virtually no alcohol resistance when she drinks for the first time. They don't mention it in the anime. I guess they didn't think it was necessary. They could have had it as like passing text on the top where it just like turns off. But yeah, that's why she does in fact have resistance. So that's why things like poison, mental, balance, like all these things, she's very, very, very OP. Very few things can actually affect her. Now let me just change my little text here. But it was a good first episode. It breezed through a lot, which isn't. I get it. I get it. Anime is different, the pacing is different. I do think it's unfortunate that they skipped out on a lot of the emotional development, so we'll see how they handle that in episode 2. But yeah, let's get right into it. I can keep talking, but until I actually see the anime and see what they choose to show, uh, it's just gonna be spoilers. In 3, 2, 1. For some reason, Lit's voice is so familiar to me. I'm gonna have to look up her voice actress later. You see, the choice of them to emphasize her hangover in the anime, but in the manga, they're just kind of like, ugh, I hate alcohol. I'm not drinking it again. One thing I will mention, I don't think Kana has used that summon, the one that she rides on in the intro. I don't think she's ever used it in the manga up until this point, even up till I think volume 7. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll have to reread. But I'm trying to remember who that summon is, and I cannot remember. Yeah, I still don't like how they conveyed the little demon, the demon guy. P-chan, they got P-chan perfectly though, so no complaints there. The light novel is finished though, I assume. So right now the writer is, it is currently ongoing. The writer is currently writing the next volume. It's not on hiatus. It's actually been fully translated up until the point that it has been published. But it is, the next volume is in progress, so. Again, there's a little bit less tension. See, now instead of selecting it from the menu, she's saying it out loud. So I'm confused about how this magic system works for certain things. It was done since, yeah, that's the thing. I think it is the original game character reincarnation. Well, one of the pioneers, I should say. One of the pioneers of the genre. However, it is something that the writer has said they're a bit pressured by, which understandable. If they published this in 2010 and now it's 2025, I get it. I think one of the things about the anime is they don't develop that tension. In the manga, they have the mercenaries barge into the inn and they're like, "Excuse me, we need these, please help." And then you understand there's something urgent. Here it's just kind of like, "Oh, hmm." It's just a little bit unfortunate because I think the emotional development of a lot of the tension is done really well in Leadale. Here, there's not a lot of tension, and I guess that's what makes it a very light watch. But tension doesn't have to be a bad thing, it just immerses you more, right? So in this case, she's not asking for the map. In this case, she's just diving right into her kids. I see. There is one thing I remember I wanted to talk about in book club and I forgot. Ah, man. Okay, we'll see how they handle it and then I'll bring it up. I think misunderstanding based tension can be really fun though. There's a anime manga light novel I really like. It's called Tear Moon Princess Empire, or is it Tear Moon Princess? That one, I think the misunderstandings are actually really lighthearted, but they are interesting. Mm. No, I don't. Yeah, I remember. I don't like this because one of the things with Kana is that she develops an affection for this village, and so she helps around and does some things because she kind of sees this as her entry point, but also like a place that she wants to return to. They skip through all that, and all of a sudden she's just leaving. The thing in Tear Moon Empire is that they do talk to each other, but their misunderstandings, like sometimes they're on the verge of resolving their misunderstandings, but then they deepen. It's very fun. They do talk to each other, and I think that's what makes the misunderstandings more understandable. Is like it really is just because people have different notions, so the way you act, it can be taken differently by different people. So I do think misunderstandings can be a little overdone, but when done well, they can be really fun. Mm, Lit is always adorable. It's just all right. Maybe I'm not a fan of the director and the direction they chose to go in with the story panels. I like this because in the light novel, Kennison has no tension when it comes to like thanking Kana. He's appreciative, but he almost seems nonchalant that he like nearly didn't make it and someone saved him with magic so fantastical that only three people in the continent can use it. But then in the manga, he seems more enthusiastic, and here he's definitely more over the top, which isn't wrong. It isn't bad. But like I said, I do like that the manga and the anime gave more emphasis on that, because what do you mean this guy nearly didn't make it? Everyone gave up on him. Kana saved him, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, thanks, miss." That's it. That was all he said in the light novel. It was crazy. Oh, that damn. My least favorite character has shown up. All right, we'll see. All right. They're really emphasizing this capital entrance scene. Not bad. I like it. I feel like I'm being so snarky. It's not on purpose. I just am a manga fan. Like the manga. But the sandbar does look good. He was. He was told, and it was because the mercenary leader told him, "Hey, this is the woman who saved your life." And he's like, "Oh yeah, hey, thanks, miss." And he's just like, "Whatever." Yeah, I didn't like. Okay, I'm gonna be constantly comparing this to the manga, but in the manga, Kana, like the innkeeper is very calm, but when she's trying to convey, there's tension, right? So Kana casually just pushes the hair behind her ear, and then the innkeeper relaxes. But here she flicks her hair back, and I don't know why. The way that they have made her character, it is different. I suppose it's just a slight difference. But yeah, even here, like they made this random. In the manga, Kane is rejected by someone who looks like they are more well established in the rules, but here it's just like a random person she bumped into in the church. Not bad, not bad changes. It's just they are changes. It is Kartatsu. Okay, Kartatsu. I'm gonna have to remember that. Okay, they nailed Kartatsu's expressions. No, there's a mix. You can see there's like half people there are full on things like that. That's not what happened. It wasn't that she wouldn't let her in. The church person actually gently told her, like, I don't think you can see him without an appointment. That is why, like, some of the dialogue, they should have adjusted it. The emphasis is different. In the original, they definitely said, hey, you can't see him. That's why she said that. Did he tell her about my? I must have missed it. Oh, they skipped over it here. Okay. in the manga and light novel, there is actually a moment where Kana's worried that there might be concerns of kidnappings and things like that because she's a high elf and a rare race for, slavery. So the receptionist assures her that Scargo, the high priest, would never accept something like that. And Kana's like, oh, my son, why are you terrorizing the common folk? And I was thinking, Kana, why are you assuming that people who are going to kidnap and turn people into slaves are common folk? Isn't it good that your son is maintaining order in, his position? That one really confused me. I didn't get that in either. They mention it both in the manga and the light novel, but obviously they skipped over in the anime. I still don't understand Kana's reaction to that. They skipped over the part where Elena is teaching Kana common sense about the world too, because Kana does not have world common sense. There's so many moments where she needs to be instructed, otherwise they're worried that she will literally overturn the market. Oh, is he blonde? I could have sworn he was an old man. Interesting that Lonti is silver haired and not this old man. No, it is because it's in the manga and light novel. I'm assuming that it's a societal thing. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but I'm assuming it is something that is culturally difficult to translate because it's something that an expression. Oh, that was gross. Okay, weird. Oh, does she overturn the market? It's not just that, it's because her common sense, like the materials and everything she has, is different because the country boundary lines, a lot of the. Ew, that's really gross. They gave him more of a character here, and I don't know if I really like it, but it's fine. But yeah, it's just like she lacks a lot of common sense in regards to like the current market standard, current things that are available in the market. So she does get lessons on those and she asks for them. And well, technically, they give it to her. I get that because they're going to have these characters, they want to give them more of a role because they have the voice actors anyways, but the I'll just say it, the prime minister's character has taken a very weird turn. He was a lot cooler in the manga and he was more like a proper adult. No, in the manga, she specifically mentions, and the light novel, she says that kids like secret bases. That's why she goes into the alleyways. Otherwise, well, that seemed fantastical. See, why does she have to load and ready set some of her skills, and then the other time she can just select it from the panel and then put it down? Why do you have to hold on to it? Active skill leap or activate skill leap? That's my question. Because otherwise, if it's an active skill, it would. Hmm. When there's royalty like this, who needs villains? You can say that he's a young kid, wants to go out, have fun, but being this disrespectful honestly deserves him a smack in the head. Or of a smack of a slipper, I don't know. Whichever one is more convenient. See, they didn't have her activate her water walking skill. She also uses a spirit to track the boy. That's why she's able to follow him in the manga and light novel. But here, she's just keeping up with him. He is a kid. I don't think it's fair to equate him to Boomy. He is a kid. I'm trying to remember that. He's annoying, but he's a kid. It's just that his parents have clearly not taught him. Ugh. Peer pressure. No, she knows. She does know. She just doesn't want to say it because then she'll get involved. In the light novel and manga, she says it all. No, they missed the scene where Kertatsu sends messages to his siblings. And it's actually not Mai Mai who shakes him. In the manga, it's Scargo who shakes him. Because Mai Mai becomes a crybaby around her mom, but Scargo becomes crazy. We also missed Mai Mai's intro. She gets a really cool intro. Dang. That's why I said if you really want to get to a good adaptation of this story, I think the manga is a great place. I think if you try to get someone else to do your homework, that should be immediately failing that assignment. But Mai, the fact that she, I don't know. They make him a little too cool in this. Scargo is a lot more chibi, crazy, but silly. It works better his character. He likes being overdramatic, but I don't know. And that no, okay. That last dialogue from Kartats is not correct because Kartats is actually someone who says that even though Scargo is a little over the top, he does his job well. So for him to be like, is the country gonna be okay if a high priest like him? He doesn't say that. He's actually like secretly, he recognizes that his older brother is very good and very serious about his job. I don't know how I feel about that. That was just that was clearly for comedic effect, but it will conflict later depending on how they handle some of the upcoming scenes. I don't know. But I think they really should teach these students not to use money to solve their problems like this. I don't know, if you're a student, you should be a student and you should do your work properly. Hold on, I'm gonna go on to episode 3. I do want to see how they handle one of the upcoming scenes. If that is what they are making Kartatsu say, it is going to affect. It's gonna affect a scene. It is one of my favorite scenes. That's upsetting. Okay, so starting the next episode. Oh, I have to change the marquees first, otherwise people will be confused. So I would like to say, I strongly emphasize that you guys find it in your libraries if it's available. If you guys find alternative ways, that is totally fine. Please do not mention alternative ways or mention specific websites in chat or in my comments or anything like that. If you choose, of course I recommend you to support the author where you can. Wherever you choose to read, it is fine. Just please do not mention them in chat. That is all I ask. I am currently in the process of blocking a lot of these websites simply because I do not want to. I do not want to cause trouble for those websites, as I understand, as someone who reads both official, I will say, and unofficial translations. Yes, that's all I ask. That's all I ask. It is fine. I also read, but we will not be mentioning anything in chat. I asked you guys that because, again, do not want to give trouble or give them any more trouble. So, yes. So, I'm just going to. I wanted to let you know before I remove. I can't remove it. Hello, currently about to watch episode 3 of In the Land of Leadale. We are watching the anime after going through book club. We read volume 1 of the light novel, which is volumes 1, 2, 3 of the manga, and it is episodes 1 to 4 of the anime. But yeah, welcome. So about to watch episode 3. My my headphone was sitting really nicely this whole time, and now it chooses of all times to constantly fall off. So hopefully, let's get into it before my headphones decide it no longer wants to stay put again. So starting the new episode in 3, 2, 1. So, hello, yes. So, the VOD for book club is on my channel. It is just, I think, the previous stream I did recently. So, you can definitely find it and watch the VOD. Interesting that they've made her famous. Like, Well, I guess it's like a little transition scene, but considering they cut out so many other transition scenes, it's interesting they added in their own. Oh, see, Kensian. See, he remembers. What an interesting little cameo. Hmm. I totally missed it if they mentioned it or not. Did they mention any other towers? I'm currently in the process of trying to do something. All right. So I did give, just so we know that there is, if you are chatting for the first time in my chat, please take a look at the rules in my description box. And one of the most important rules is to please stay on topic. A castle or something north that nobody could get into. Okay, yes, thank you so much. So that is very consistent with the manga and light novel because they do have like periodic mentions of other towers before this, but it's interesting that even though Kana has talked to both Arbiter and Eleni, they still only talk about the northern castle. So this is the consistent timeline. Interesting that Lonti is the one guiding Kana to the academy and it's not. Yeah. They've changed the progression quite a bit. I guess they decided to give Mai Mai a different kind of cool intro, but this is not as cool as Mai Mai's manga intro. Well, I guess this does make sense into like how to convince, or I guess let people know that she has kids. However, I don't know. I don't know. It's different, a different flavor. This is entirely an exclusive to the anime. The scene. This little insolent. He doesn't know this is his mother in law standing in front of him. Mai Mai is a crybaby with her mom, but she's not like this. Interesting. But in the manga, she meets her husband more formally when after another event that has not occurred yet. That's why I'm not going to mention it. So instead of having her do her adventure quest, I guess they're doing this instead. I think, yeah, that's what I also disagree with. I think they did a great job of making her petite, but clearly she's a young woman. It might just be her height. Oh, uh-oh. They have skipped through a couple of things. We kind of veering into volume 2 territory, but I think it's interesting that they Okay. The thing is, he's like, oh, don't tell too many people you can do ancient potion brewing. Instead of like, hey, can you like share your knowledge with us? A lot of knowledge has been lost. They're like, don't be too casual about it. And I'm like, are you really trying to teach? I don't know. See, that's why I was like, this contradiction is really, it's a little weird and annoying. But it's not even a potion nobody knows how to make. It's because she's a player. I see. I like that she asserts herself because this guy, he was so insolent. Like I get that he is trying to emphasize, but she is somewhat influential. Her kids are all influential. What do you mean you're trying to? I don't know. I think they're dumb. If she really wanted to, she could either A, destroy the kingdom like her kids have mentioned, or B, leave the kingdom. And then what would they do? It'd be their own stupidity that drove her that way. Of course, she wouldn't attack the kingdom, I think, of her kids. But if the kingdom did do something to her, I don't think her kids would idly stand by either. So I think it's ridiculous. I like, Here we go. So in the manga, the Colosseum portion comes first. And there is a reason the Colosseum portion comes first. The fact that they skipped through, they brought in a future point in order to do this is kind of like interesting. I don't see the point of it though. Alright, let's see. How do they handle the Colosseum scene? Ooh, they made it more spooky. Stupid royalty, sorry. People in positions of power who are dumb or don't understand. Like, she's not doing anything because she's good natured. Sure, what if she wasn't good natured? I'm just saying, they are seriously playing a fire. It's interesting that Key has a bit more personality here because in the manga, Key is clearly just someone, program who guides and explains things to her. But at the same time, here they're kind of making comments. Wait, why is she bringing out a weapon? Oh, I see, I see. Maybe she did use it in the manga, but I didn't focus on it because I was too focused on the summons. Oh, they only brought out one. No, what happened to the other four? There was a gigantic lobster, there was a dragon, there was a spirit, there was even the little wood spirit. They skipped the wood spirit. No, the wood golem. That was such a great scene. They did cut out so many. Throw them in the fire. Okay, well at least they made him a little bit more humble here where he's just confused. In the manga, he's like this magic clearly doesn't exist because I've never heard it before and he was way more bratty in the manga. Here he's a little bit more like a kid, so I get that's a pretty good nice change. Cuz he is a kid. He can be a little bratty and a little annoying, but he's just it's turned up in the manga. Don't point skewers at people, kid. She's also the mother of Scargo. Hmm. Interesting, interesting. Because in the manga, the prime minister, which was the night guy, he actually tells the prince who he is. And the prince thinks that she is pulling the strings of the kingdom and she has like nefarious purposes. And that's why he's here. So she actually has many, many summons. In this scene, normally, and the original scene, she has 5 summons. She has a lobster, a dragon, Cerberus, a spirit fairy, and also a wood golem. But in this case, they only summon Cerberus, probably to save on animating, which I get, but it's a shame because they're all so cool. They could have done stills. It's interesting that they're emphasizing this for Cerberus because they don't do that in the manga. Cerberus is protective but cool. They also missed a very crucial scene. That's why she's not. Hmm. I don't. How does this? This is not gonna. How do I explain this? This is gonna be weird. Yeah, she's always wearing that ring, and it's because the ring reacts. She knows that this place is a tower. But they changed it. No wonder I was like, why did she bring out her weapon first? She's always wearing that ring because that's the only way she knows if she's approaching a tower or not. The storyboard is interesting. I don't know why they keep changing some of the order of things, but we'll see. It's not that I don't know why. It's just like as of someone who started with the manga, I felt like it was a really good guide for them. But I think they did start working on this before the manga came out, so that does make sense, kind of. Unless I got my numbers mixed up. My dates of it mixed up. That is also not how I thought that this Guardian would sound. But I do like the dome that they made. But it's also interesting that Kana notes in the manga and light novel that the Guardians originally sound like NPCs, so they have very straightforward pre-programmed lines, and now they have more personality. Here in the anime, she recognizes the guard skill master, but in the light novel and manga, she doesn't really. At least not outwardly. She's a little overwhelmed. They didn't animate him. No, Kyotaro, you're one scene. He has a really cool design. There he is. Hmm. In the manga, Kana is very, very, very quick witted. Like, she's constantly making these connections right away. Here, they're kind of, it's not a bad delay. It's just that, like I said, Kana is very, very unintentionally cool in the manga. She's very sharp, very clever. again, they've changed it. I understand that this is a light-hearted anime, but Kana actually has a huge shock and a little bit of a breakdown here because she's one of the reasons she was looking for the towers was to hope that she could bump into other players or get more hints about other players. And here she's just like it was a moment and then all of a sudden she's gone through it. Let's see how they handle some of the next scenes. Like this was a very important turning point for her. Because this is one of the confirmations she gets that, hey, I might be the only one from that era. I am watching sub. I'm not a fan of dub. It's not that I have anything against dub, I've just always preferred sub. Huh? They changed it. Okay, so they changed that whole confrontation scene. There was a confrontation scene where Kana and the knights are being very dumb and insolent, and Kana gets to... I guess that's why they didn't show that scene where she gets the token from the Marquise. Oh, they skipped a bunch. This is the Prime Minister. He has a really weird character in the anime. See, now why is she doing that? She looked totally fine at the place, and yes, you can look totally fine and not be fine, but there is no emotional development here. Okay, that is not what he says too. The Prime Minister's like, uh-oh, I think I've just caused more trouble because he's an adult. But here, he's so unreliable. In the manga, Scargo normally comes in the inn, asks where his mother is, and goes look for her. But here, he's just a crazy person. They really went all out with his little special effects. Yeah, they had a lot of fun with these effects. No, she missed step 3 of her. But you know, that was satisfying though. Wow, they made her isolation barrier a lot bigger in the anime. Where's Kartatsu? He also came with her when... No! They cut out. It was such a cute moment that both of them came chasing after Scargo. So they're magic people, I see. And in the manga, Maimai has to touch the barrier to know what magic it is. By the way, it's an isolation barrier. No sound, no attacks, no nothing can reach through the barrier. Okay, that... Again, the anime is not bad. The anime is simply in a different direction, but there's so much emotional development and build up that is lost. It's unfortunate. There are so many key scenes, and I think they're key because... How do I explain this? Kana goes through a really difficult mindset, and I don't want to talk too much because I want to see how they handle it in this next episode. However, when she's going through this difficult time, it is because of the continued presence of all her kids that she is able to kind of not deal with it, but it reminds her. How do I can't say too much because it depends how they convey it, and then I'll rant. We're just gonna go into episode 4. We're just gonna go into episode 4. Hold on, I'm gonna adjust this. Adaptations are very different. However, I think the core development shouldn't change. Like, for example, when Kana doesn't have her emotional breakdown, that is a very important element to understand a lot of Kana's motivation, and it's a core part of the story. Like, the core message of this story is tied to a lot of these things. That's why I'm a little not surprised. A little, I don't see why they cut them out. There are some things that are very a lot of the emotional development is tied to the core message of the story and a lot of the themes. So it's just unfortunate that it has been cut out. Very unfortunate. Okay, we're just gonna go into episode 4. This is gonna be the last episode we watch today. Starting the episode. Hold on, my headphone. In 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, hold on, go. I was like a second late, but it's fine. No, part of the fun was that Scargo was in the coffin. Don't worry, my next book club and watch-along won't be for another 2 months, so there's plenty of time for anyone who wants to catch up and join in on the next one. Okay, unfortunate. So there's a very funny scene in the manga where he goes to his closet and pulls out an outfit that has been banned by he's been banned from wearing in public because it makes him stand out more than the king. So here the outfit is not quite as detailed or cool, so that's unfortunate. In Kartatsu, he actually leaves in order to go find their mom because no one else can get through the other two. You see, like, Kana was, she... This is great if you want a one-off, lighthearted story. I'm gonna be one of those people. I'm gonna be one of those people where I'm like, what happened to the message? Dang it. I think they really intend to make this a one-off thing because the way that they are handling a lot of the scenes tells me that they are going to focus on the fact that she's an overpowered character in a game and her adventures, but part of the reason I love this story so much is the core message, and I think that's just not, they don't have intention to convey that here, which is so upsetting. It's not entirely gone, but it is, a lot of the development of it is gone. Or in High School Host Club, Yona of the Dawn Frieren, what else is there? There are quite a few that I think are really good at adapting the story. Gekkan Shoujo Nozaki-kun did a perfect adaptation. I'm so upset. I think that one definitely deserves a second season. They adapted that perfectly. Like that is my all-time favorite anime. Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun. Oh my gosh. A perfect adaptation of that manga, and I buy that manga as soon as it comes out. It is my must. I will support that author. Well, not just that, but like I just love it. I have to have a physical copy in my hands. See, it's so lighthearted. What do you mean you were just shocked? She literally just realized that there are no other players. She doesn't exist. They know she passed away, and all of a sudden it's just like, yep, just ate something and I'm okay. Oh, by the way, it's called Oscar in the manga, the skill. And the skill is basically where once it's cast, there will be special effects depending on the mood of the person who cast it, but everyone can see it. Oh, I don't. You see, this is why it's weird that Kartatsu is now so aggressive. He was actually more how do I say this? Beseeching? Like he was just how do I say this? He expressed it to her, but not in an angry way. He's like, hey, wait, mom, actually, he's a good guy. And I think that was much more touching than this angry outburst. I don't know. You know, it's fair. I have some stories that I get are digital because they're only in digital. But I personally, when I really, really love a story, I make sure to get the physical because I love the feeling of having the book in my hand and flipping through it. It's just a personal preference. Nothing wrong with digital. It just makes me a little insecure, but I like having the physical copy when I can. You see, this is the natural progression. So originally in the manga, they went to the Colosseum and then she had this moment, and this is how she meets Mai Mai's husband and how she goes to the Magic Academy for the first time. The other one was a filler scene. And this is when she uses the potion that shocks Mai Mai's husband and also uses the potion to revive her two kids. And he gets upset. But it's okay because Kartats is like, hey, we'll just get mom to make you another one. She literally didn't do any of that because no, all she did, she was just lying there. They didn't show any of this. So where are these lines coming from? Excuse me. You didn't convey any of that. No. They you know what? I'm going to all my favorite parts are gone. Oh well. I'm gonna have to remember this director and hope that he doesn't do any more adaptations of my favorite stories. She doesn't actually care about the special skill because it's just his signature. Like, it's not a big deal. It just takes up his mana. So I don't see why she would have to, like, be upset about that. See? I think in the manga, she approaches Elena, because she wants to start visiting some of the other towers. You see, on this map, you can see that the different countries are in thirds. They're not in thirds lengthwise. They're not in thirds like a pie quarters or pie thirds. Oh, it's a rundown fort. I thought it was a fort that they had taken it over. Then they're changing it a little bit because it used to be an active guard post, but the bandits took it over. Now it's just an old fort, okay? So I think they're gonna change one of the other things that happens. Hmm. No. Sad. Sad. Just having Elena in the background staring at them with blank eyes is kind of creepy. I don't get why he's there like that. They could have had him appear later. I don't know why Karatatsu is looking at Lanti like that. Some of the side profiles are... Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Having Elena just sit there is like an interesting choice. He could have just randomly appeared later. It's anime magic. And in that scene where she receives the letter from Maimai, actually Kartatsu has a interesting expression that hints to us what might be appearing later on. Oh, see, now they've changed it. They put more emphasis on these in-between cue cards. No. Originally the bridge was fine, but it was destroyed, like intentionally destroyed. They changed it again. But on what? She gave ideas, but then... I don't... See, there are things like Kana is way more clever, but here she's like not as bright, so she seems to be relying on other things more. And it's not wrong, but at the same time, it's just like it's missing out on the fact that Kana is such a well-rounded character in the light novel and manga because she is clever, but she is still a young girl, you know? She's still a young woman who is dealing with a lot of things. They entirely cut out one of the parts. Wait, oh, they didn't. Here we go. My bad, I shouldn't have spoiled it. I thought they skipped it. Okay, so in the manga, it looks like a Venus flytrap grabs one of the horses. Here, it looks like a fly. And actually, what happens is they freak out because the horses are freaking out that one of the horses got taken. So Kana has to go forward, use one of her skills, which is the Beast Tamer skill, which is why she has so many summons, calms the horses, and manages to get everyone across in a frantic way because a horse was literally just taken away. No, it wasn't internal monologue. She says it out loud. So she says things like, here are the 3 options we have. And now they're asking her for a summons, which they didn't do before because they were kind of like, they didn't want to impose on her too much. So I don't see why in the anime all of a sudden everyone's like, oh yeah, we'll just ask Kana to do everything. They didn't dare do that because they know who she is and how influential and powerful she is. It's not that they don't talk to her, but they're not as easy to ask things of her as they are in the anime. It's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, see, Key is making a bigger presence. He says quite a bit, Key, but it's not like this. And also, why did they make Cerberus so derpy? And it doesn't look like Cerberus, it looks like... Why is it like a part giraffe? No, even the centaur, he originally says like he is glad to protect Kana, but he does not want to pull the carriage. See, yeah, he says that. Why are the stereotypes like this? I don't like what they've done to Kana's character. At least keep her character the same. But at least they nailed P-chan. This is perfect. P-chan is perfect. Okay, that is not how I imagine P-chan to sound like. No. P-chan is doing a perfect, great job. They didn't show what the Crimson Pig looks like, but it's basically very large, very fierce. It's like a Pokemon evolution. Oh, they cut out a lot. Alright. So in the manga, they have a 1-day stop where they, I think, stay for the night, and then they encounter the bandits. So this is like smushing it together. And it is kind of important because that's when they really see more of Kana's magic. Hey, he doesn't have all the rest of his bandits. He's just the lone bandit. What happened to the rest of his men? Like the difference between a normal pig and a boar, but etc. No, like the Crimson Pig has a mohawk. It's definitely like a Pokemon where it's more like it has more exaggerated features. And in contrast with the cute P-chan. No, the centaur. Okay, why did... I was confused. Why? The thing is, like, the Cerberus and the centaur, they are battle warriors. So when they sensed something was wrong, they themselves went off and quietly dealt with them to not alarm them. So it's kind of weird now that they're doing it like this. I guess not too weird. The ambush makes more sense than having them all appear as like a group of bad guys, but still. But I guess they want an excuse to take the centaur. tell if that's a little more crazy than the manga, but yeah, this guy is definitely not as fierce as he was in the manga. They made him more normal looking here, but in the manga he was more distinctive. So she gets upset when she sees that Cerberus has a person in his mouth and not when the centaur has speared through and turned 3 people into flags. This is what I mean by unique. Like, they're trying to follow the story, but it's like there's some things that are inconsistent because they chose to add their own things in it. But of course, everyone, when they first fight, it's fireball. Yeah, by the way, Kana does not stand there and just let the fireball hit her. She is in the middle of moving and like trying to maneuver through the battlefield, and then the fireball just happens to hit her. She doesn't stand there like that and lets it hit her. Of course, she does tank it because she's amazing, but yeah, that was a choice. I will say they do a really good job of animating like the magic. The magic looks really epic. So they focused on the fantasy elements instead of the story emotional development with the characters. And by the way, it's convert water of ice and that is also not what happened in the manga. So in the manga he turns into like a gigantic ice statue. He does not shatter like that. That's pretty brutal. Again, not too bad, but it's like there was more epicness. That's why some of the choices are very I don't know. There's also an emotional scene where once they enter the fort, they learn that the bandits have dealt with the guards who were previously stationed there, but I guess they're changing that because this is an abandoned old fort. But so what that item is, by the way, is it was a previous item that players used that it had like a preloaded spell that you could use 10 times, but because it's considered ancient magic, it's much more powerful than the current magic. That's why he was so confident. But yeah, to Kina, it's just a little toy. She doesn't offer to make anything in the manga and light novel either. But rather, she is kind of concerned. She's like, huh, this is an ancient artifact to them. But it was just a useful but cheap item we used to get. Alright, that's it. So there's actually a little bit. There might be a scene in. There might be one last scene in episode 5, which will be. If I can say this. It's like the last scene that happens in volume 1, and it is basically. I won't spoil it. Well, actually, I can. It's basically Arbiter and Kano fighting. And this is when we get the preview of the strange demon character who appears in the intro. Oh, by the way, I stopped. You guys can listen to the ending if you want to. Uh, but yeah, and it's. I remember why I didn't like the anime now. Again, nothing wrong with it. It is a light-hearted slice of life story, but as someone who really enjoys the story, the message, the progression, and a lot of the development, it's clear that the director doesn't intend to probably, likely continue it because they've cut out all of the, I guess, plot development. And the plot is like they are following the main plot, but they're not following the underlying message plot. And that's where I think that's unfortunate, because I think that's where Leadale really has its strengths. There's so many, and this story is a pioneer, but sometimes being a pioneer isn't enough. There is a isekai villainous story that was a pioneer of its genre. I wouldn't recommend it, and not because it's bad, but because it's clearly like it was novel because of its setting, but it didn't really have any other strengths. In this sense, I think Leodale had a great message. So I do highly recommend, if you are intrigued by the anime and you want to hear more of the story, highly recommend you check out the manga. You will get to know a lot of the characters more. You'll get to see a lot of Kaina's emotional personal development more, which is very key for pushing the story forward. And ultimately, it is still a very fun, light-hearted adventure about an overpowered character. However, I think it is her emotional development and the bonds that she forms with the other characters which makes it so much more gratifying. So, highly, highly recommend if you guys are intrigued now by the story. Of course, we will be continuing watching the anime, however, that'll be in 2 months. So, if anyone wants to pop in for book club next time, you can subscribe because I will make my waiting room ahead. I will announce when we're doing book club and I will give you the volumes and chapters in the anime episodes that correspond with the volume. Now, I kind of do a combination of light novel and manga when I discuss in book club. The anime is kind of like an extra. I'm kind of glad now because I actually had a vote with my community on if you guys and they wanted to watch the anime before or after book club, and I think it's good that we watched it after, which was the community's choice because that kind of gave us a sense of the story before we watched it. We also have my book club VOD, which is available on my channel if you guys want to catch that. It is in my book club playlist. We also have read another series called Lout of Accounts Family. Also recommend that if you guys are interested. I try to do book club once every 2 months, so the next one will not be until probably November, but that gives you plenty of time to not only source the book, but also a chance to read and catch up. And yeah, I hope I see you guys there. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed this watch along. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. So much happened. I could definitely talk more about the story, but then let's me remind you guys again, nothing wrong with enjoying the anime. When I make my comments, I'm just making them as someone who is commenting. If you enjoyed it, that is valid, that is fine, and I'm glad that you were able to find a story or you have a show that you enjoy. At the end of the day, that's what's important because this is just entertainment. So, like I said, whether you like the light novel, manga, or anime, all of the adaptations are valid, and as long as it brings you some joy. I just comment. It's just a personal commentary. That's fine. If you guys do want, you can subscribe, you can turn on notifications. I have been like my YouTube is actually pretty good. They for everyone who does turn on their bell notifications, YouTube tends to send out 100% of my going live videos and things like that. So it's pretty good about it. I do not have a Discord, but if you guys are interested, I do hope I see you guys in a future stream. I usually stream Sunday mornings like we do at this time. I usually play Fantasy Life. I do Wednesdays where I play Wednesday nights where I do Tiny Bookshop. And next Friday, I'll be continuing my adventures in Digimon Survive. So if you guys like a little bit of a horror, thriller, Digimon visual novel, then definitely pop in for that as well. Anyways, I'm gonna go head out to go get lunch. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful rest of your weekend. Thank you again so much for watching. Remember to drink water, stretch, and take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for joining me, whether you are chatting, lurking, or watching the VOD. And as always, I hope I see you in another stream. Until next time. Where did my... There it is.